Governor Florio and Governor Kean, welcome. The presidential campaign has made the Labor Day turn, and it looks like it's going to be a sprint to the finish on this one. Governor Kean, let me ask you, how do you assess the fluidity of voters at this point?
Well, voters are in a position I've never seen them in before. If you poll voters, 60% of them don't want either one of them. And so at a time in this country when I think we really need a leader who we can trust and move forward with, we've got two candidates who 60% of the people don't want, which puts the country and the election and everything else in a new perspective and a very difficult one, I think, for the country.
How do you see it, Governor Florio?
Well, it reflects the polarization of our society. What you have are people who are diehards on one side and diehards on the other side. And you have a relatively small group of people who will be the deciding factor in this election. So both candidates are trying to reach out, or should be trying to reach out, to influence those people in the middle. But they've decided that negativity sells. And so we have people not being affirmative, although I don't think it's even. I think from a nonpartisan basis, I think that Mr. Trump has been much less affirmative than negative, but that's all in the eye of the beholder.
How do you account for the polls? They're up and down and back and forth.
Well, you've got a lot of frustration in this country. I mean, there's a whole group of people who don't think this country has done what's right by them, who have not had a raise in 20 years in real terms, who in some cases have lost jobs, have been laid off in their 50s when they can't get other jobs, and they're frustrated, and being angry, they're looking to lash out. So they're looking to vote in a negative way.
How would you lay it out, Governor?
Well, leadership is required to explain to people what the options are. The problems are becoming more complex, and the political people, I mean, the Congress is a wonderful example, are not willing to come forward and say, these are the options, because when you point out a problem, you have a responsibility to do something about it. And there's no answer to anything that is pleasant. There's downsides to almost everything. But leadership says, on balance, this is the way I think we should go. And no one seems to be willing to do that.
Well, the first debate is coming up. What do you expect?
Well, this is going to be fascinating. You know, just in my old profession as a historian, this is going to be wonderful. Because, look, we got one candidate who is, if anything, over-rehearsed, who plans everything. Hillary's got everything lined. Another candidate is going to go in free form. This is what I believe. And it's going to be a contrast in styles, as well as a contrast in people and policies and issues. And I think after the first debate, we'll know who's going to be the next president.
Mrs. Clinton, Hillary, is criticized for being too precise, too lawyer-like, too thoughtful, too deliberative. That used to be virtues. I'm not sure how we've gone to the point where those types of qualities are negative rather than the plus.
So you mentioned the qualities. What is her greatest asset and her biggest problem, in your opinion?
Oh, I think very much like President Obama, she's substantive, she's articulate, she likes to know what she's talking about, which is nice. And those things turn out to be things that the general media atmosphere doesn't reinforce. We want to reinforce brief, catchy, bumper sticker-like slogans, and that's not really appropriate for these complex times that we're in.
First of all, she's got a problem of trust. I mean, people just don't, for whatever reason, they just don't trust her, whether it's the emails, whether the fact she's changed her position on things like trade, whether it's the Clinton Foundation. People say, well, 60, 70%, I guess now, say we just don't trust her, and that's a problem. Trump's got other problems. I mean, Trump's comes right out and says what he thinks, sometimes without calculating and knowing what he's talking about, in my mind. So he comes out and then has to reverse and go back. This is somebody who hasn't had experience in public office running against somebody who's had an incredible amount of experience in public office. So the contrasts all around, and yet a lot of people want that. A lot of people say, we're sick of the people who've been in office in this country. We're sick of the Republicans, we're sick of the Democrats. Let's get somebody different, and that's Trump's strength. He's somebody certainly very, very different.
Let me ask you, in the end, we're going to elect one of these two people as the President of the United States. What is going to happen to the spirit, the cohesiveness of the country?
If you put the whole process into question by virtue of demonizing both sides, you don't have confidence in the system. The system demands a minimum of good faith on the part of both parties, the losers and the winners. And that seems to be put into question nowadays.
What we really need is somebody with the communication skills of a Franklin Roosevelt or a Ronald Reagan and all of that. We don't have that in these two candidates, but they've got to try to the best of their ability to communicate to the people what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it and give the country some confidence.
Well, Election Day is just really a few weeks away, so we'll see what happens. Governor Kean and Governor Florio, thank you very much.
Thank you.